So today's webinar is about growth hacking and driving massive user growth for startups. Before we start, I just want to tell you about me. My name is Vishal Srivastava, and I run a company, Trainage Consulting. We do digital marketing for startups and small businesses. And basically, what we do is we generate lots of leads on sales for our clients. Hundreds of leads and sales every week for our clients, which mostly happen to be small and medium businesses and startups. I have, over the last few years, I have worked with several startups, helped them with marketing and get early stage success. I've worked with several companies, including KPMG and Deloitte as management consultant. And I've been running my company for last 10 years. So that's pretty much what I do and who I am. And what I really love to know is a little bit about you guys, what you do and what you're looking forward to out of this webinar. That will help me tailor it as we go along. I can see a lot of people there, but you are muted because most of the time what happens is there's a lot of external noise. So we generally mute everyone. But if you want to talk or you want to ask a question, you can raise your hand and I'll unmute you. Okay, great. So I see some responses. So Ankit is saying he wants to know how to leverage digital space for marketing. So using digital channel for marketing, great. So that's what we are going to talk about today. And let's get started with the webinar. So here's what we are going to do today. We'll look at what is growth hacking, who is it for, and who is a growth hacker. And we look at 3 things you can do to start implementing growth hacking for your product or business. So that's a quick introduction to what we'll do today. So as we go along, if you have questions, you can just type them out in the question window, and I'll try to answer them as we go along, but I may not pick them as they come in because I may be on a topic and I want to finish the topic before I pick up the question. And at the back end of the webinar, last 10 minutes or so, we'll keep exclusively for a Q&A. Okay? So you can, any question that I am not able to take up during the first 50 minutes, I'll try to take at the back end. And you can also ask me questions in that last Q&A section. Okay? So let's get started. Let's dive in and see what is growth hacking. So what is growth hacking? Anyone wants to answer this question? Unmute someone. So I'm randomly unmuting people. Sagar, do you want to answer the question? What do you think growth hacking is? I just unmuted you so you can speak in your mic.
Yeah, hi. Basically, I'm not that sure about the growth hacking, but basically just looking at the topic, I was just interested to just understand what's exactly that part is. So okay. I'm just a new learner for this part.
Oh, okay, great. So what do you do, by the way?
Pardon?
What do you do?
Yeah, basically I'm just working with Robert Bosch in India. I'm working as a senior software engineer.
Okay.
And working on yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Sagar. Sheikh, okay. Sheikh has so Sheikh, you can speak. I just unmuted you. You can share your views. Okay, let me. Okay, I just unmute. I just muted you, Sheikh, because I'm not able to hear you. I'm not sure if it's a mic problem or something else. But you can ask your question or whatever you want to share in the question box. So let's look at what growth hacking is. Growth hacking is essentially about acquiring large number of customers very quickly and cheaply. Okay. So when I say cheaply, it doesn't mean it's free, but cheaply compared to traditional ways of getting customers. Okay. And it came into existence primarily because of the need for startups to acquire a large number of customers very quickly, and because startups are generally short of money, short of resources, so they can't spend a lot of money like a traditional company can. So uh, the whole idea behind growth hacking is to grow very fast and very cheaply. Okay? And how do you do that is, of course, anytime you want to break the mold, you have to be creative. But a lot of growth hacking is about experimentation and data analysis. Okay? So the idea is that nobody knows exactly what is going to work for a given product and market. Therefore, you experiment. So one of the things you do in growth hacking a lot is experiment, run small experiments to see what is working and what is not working. And you do a lot of data analysis, because when you run experiments, you collect data, you analyze them, and you figure out what is working and what is not working, right? So experimentation and data analysis are an integral part of what you do in growth hacking. And the term itself was coined by a guy called Sean Ellis. He is a Silicon Valley marketer. He has worked with lots of startups, early stage companies, and he has been very successful in driving growth for many of the technology startups in particular, like Zogni, Dropbox, etc. And a big part of growth hacking is acquiring customers online, because acquiring customers offline, traditional way of acquiring customers is quite expensive, and most of the startups are online anyway, and their customers are online, so it's much easier for them to acquire customers online. And therefore, a big part of growth hacking is how you acquire customers online, and that's where it fits in with digital marketing, because it's dealing with it uses some of the same techniques that you use in digital marketing, but slightly differently. Okay, the focus is a lot more on experimentation and data analysis than doing tried and tested ways of acquiring a customer. So fundamentally, like I said, it's about growing, and the three things that you do as part of growth hacking. The first and the most important part is identifying the must-have experience about your product. Okay, so every product or solution has a core with a core experience that the customer needs to experience. Once the customer sees that or uses that, or gets exposed to that feature or experience, they are sold. They say, this is what I was looking for, and this is going to solve a big problem in my life. Identifying that must have experience is the most fundamental thing, because if you cannot identify that, then you obviously cannot acquire customers. Because to grow fast, one of the most important things of growing fast is to be able to create a base of early users who become evangelists for your product, who start spreading word about your product. And that can only happen when you deliver that must have experience to these people, right? And as important as it is to understand your must have experience, finding the right users or prospects for your product is equally important. An excellent product marketed to wrong set of prospects is going to be a total failure. So understanding who is going to be an ideal customer of your product is as important as understanding what is the core experience that that user needs to have before they become your ambassadors. And the third thing you do then, once you have identified your must have experience and the right users, is to get that experience in the hand of right prospects as fast as you can by taking out friction from the path. So when I talk about taking out friction, is how they get from not knowing your product to the core experience, must have experience about your product. How you move them from not knowing to the must have experience, how quickly, how effortlessly you move them, effortlessly on the part of the prospect, not your part, right? So it will require a lot of effort on your part. The idea is to take out friction so it becomes smooth, effortless for the prospect to move from not knowing to the core experience that your product offers, right? So you start by identifying must have experience. You start by identifying who is your ideal customer. and then you work on taking out the friction and moving them from unknown to a core experience level, right? So who is it for? Who can use this growth hacking? Um, a lot of course, it all started with technology startups, so they are obviously it's well suited for them. It's also well suited for small businesses who are growing very fast, and also for established businesses looking to launch a new product, enter a new market, or discover new segments of users within their existing base of customers that they can target. So either new product, new geography, new market, or identifying new customer segments which may be unexplored in the current setup and going after them, right? So fundamentally, anyone who wants to grow business at higher than the normal growth rate. So if the normal growth rate in the industry is 10%, you want to grow at 20%, then you have to look for a growth hacker. So if you have to look for a growth hacker, who is a growth hacker? So these are some of the companies which have very successfully used growth hacking. And as I said, Sean Ellis was the early marketer at Dropbox who set up a lot of the stuff that made Dropbox very, very successful. He obviously wasn't there at Hotmail, but he was at Dropbox and a lot of other companies. And every company you see on this slide has, in some ways, experienced growth hacking. They devised ways of growing the business very, very rapidly. For example, when PayPal came along in early 2000, what they did was they said if you refer a friend, both of you get $10 or $5 in their uh, PayPal wallet, right? And $10 in 2000 or whenever it was quite a bit of money for a lot of people. So a lot of people ended up signing up for PayPal using that $10 incentive, and it was one of the key things which drove their adoption early on. Dropbox similarly employed the strategy of giving away 250 MB free space to the if you referred a friend, your friend got 250 MB free space, you got 250 MB free space. So it created a lot of virality for the product because people are trying to get their friends on the platform because they could get free space. And then Dropbox also ran a lot of contests, for example, colleges, and said if so many people in the college start using Dropbox, then everybody in the college will get 2 GB extra or 10 GB extra, depending on the number of people who signed up. And across lots of campuses across the world, people are just trying to sign up everybody on the college, so everybody could get. So there's a lot of built-in incentive for everyone, and eh, they acquired 60% of the users this way, and they went from like 100,000 users to 4 million users in like flat 10 months. I think it took them 10 months or 14 months. I think it took them 14 months to go from 1 lakh 100,000 users to 4 million users, 40 times growth in a year's time. So okay, so we talked about what is growth hacking and who has used it, but who is a growth hacker? So Sean Ellis coined the term growth hacking, and he obviously therefore defined who a growth hacker is. So he came up with the first definition of who a growth hacker is, and what he said was growth hacker is someone whose true north is growth. It's basically the guy is always thinking, how do I grow? How do I grow? And anything that does not contribute to growth is then taken out of marketing. So if positioning is bringing in growth, then you spend on positioning. Otherwise, you don't. If branding is going to bring in growth, you spend on branding. Otherwise, you don't go after branding. Okay. So traditional marketing has a lot of things that hygiene stuff that goes along. So a PR and this and that and ads and branding and images and everything. Growth hacking is a form of marketing, but it is not traditional marketing in the sense that if anything that is not adding to exceptional growth is basically taken away from marketing. And growth hackers typically happen to be smart guys with a bit of understanding of technology and sales. So, or they happen to learn on the job. Sometimes they happen to learn on the job, but mostly they are people who are very comfortable with technology. Even if they are not programmers, they are comfortable in terms of their knowledge of technology, how to use technology. So they can quickly get, if they want something to be done, technical tweaks to be done, they can get that done. They are comfortable with explaining what they want in terms of technology, and they're focused on customer, so they're understanding the customer. Those are the two major things, right? And they have to be entrepreneurial in nature, because just like the entrepreneur who starts the company, the growth hacker who is building the user base for the company has to be entrepreneurial, because this guy has to keep experimenting and making small bets all the time. And when the bets look like making, coming off, you double the bet and then triple the bet, right? So the person has to be able to take the responsibility, total responsibility for growth, and must have an entrepreneurial drive, must be comfortable with technology, need not be a marketing guy, need not be a sales guy, need not be a technology guy. It could be anybody who is willing to take the risk, willing to take the role, but understands customer mindset, or is willing to invest time, experiment, analyze, and understand, and then go after customers. And the the one thing that really separates a growth hacker from a typical marketer is the data analytics part. The growth hacker is typically always collecting data, analyzing data, and making sense of the data. That's the biggest part of growth hacker, because if you cannot collect and analyze data properly, then you cannot achieve the kind of growth you are looking for, right? And based on what the growth hacker is doing, what kind of data they're using, what kind of work they're doing, you can broadly say that there are two kinds of growth hackers. One is more suited for early stage startups, and because early stage startups are just building a product, they don't even know if the product will work or if there's a user or buyer for the product, right? So one of the most important skills for a growth hacker in an early stage startup is to be able to find the product market fit, right? You have to understand how to go about exploring and figuring out where your product fits in the market, whether it fits at all or not, what tweaks need to be made to make the product fit in the market, right? And this early stage growth hacker typically is an experimenter, data analyst, is always experimenting, learning, and then scale, and then going with options where it does not require a lot of resources, because startups typically do not have a lot of money. Even when they raise money in early stages, they really don't have a lot of money. It's only after that growth takes off that the valuation goes through, and they can get a lot of money from VCs, right? So in early stages, they don't have a lot of money to burn, and that's why you have to be able to scale without spending a lot of money. There are also a set of growth hackers who work with more stable companies, like for example Twitter. Twitter has a team of growth hackers. Twitter already has millions of users, right? So what they do, what is their job? What they do is they analyze the tons of data that current users are generating for Twitter, and look for opportunities to boost growth, look for niche segments of users where they can go and boost growth. So here, the big difference between these two is, once a company is in stable state, okay, most of the, there's no need for product market fit, that's already found. There's no need to experiment a lot, because the company broadly knows what is working for them and what is not working for them, and that is how they've got to this state. So there's a lot less experimentation happening now. But the company also has a lot of resources, because it has reached a certain stage. It has either raised a lot of money or it's selling a lot of products. It has money to invest, right? But now what happens is, the low-hanging fruits of the growth are gone, right? The low-hanging things have been plucked away by the early stage growth hacker. And now they need to find, they won't be able to find big chunks of market where they can go in and grow very quickly. So they have to look within the existing markets and find small niches and sub segments of markets where they can grow fast, and that's what the growth hackers in a larger, more stable companies do. So the two skill sets are very different. And if you throw in a early stage growth hacker into late stage company, he will fail. If you throw in a late stage hacker into an early stage company, he will fail. So it's also important to understand uh, that the growth hacker that you are hiring or you want to be has to fit in with the kind of company or product that you are trying to promote. Right. So let's look at what you can do to grow fast. Okay. So the first thing you have to do is find the must-have experience your customers need, because if your customers are not getting that must-have experience, they are either not going to sign up, or if they sign up, they are not going to spread the message, or they're going to drop, or they're not going to be coming back and using the product all over again. So one of the things that happened at Dropbox, right, for example, was when they started Dropbox, and they started it as a cloud storage company. So you could store everything you wanted in the cloud and be happy with it, right? And of course, it was an easy way. There's just a folder you drag and drop there, and it's done and dusted with. But through experimentation, right, they realized that once a user saved something in Dropbox, okay, and then saw it quickly replicated on another device, okay, maybe they saved it on laptop, and then they saw it replicated on, and they shared it with a coworker, and then it got replicated quickly on the coworker's machine or their own desktop. That is when it hit the whole uh, concept of Dropbox, the value hit a user. So what Dropbox realized was that nobody was actively looking for a solution like this. People are happy with pen drive or this type. Because they didn't know anything better existed. And while there were a lot of cloud-based storage, either they're not good enough, or people didn't really find them really good enough to use or easy enough to use, or they're not aware of it. So one of the things I realized was, you know, we can't market the product to anybody because people are not really looking for it. So how do you market it to them? You can't use Google search because people are not searching on Google for the product, right? And people have seen, maybe they've tried some of the other products and they really haven't found it good enough. And so there's a negative experience built into it, right? So people already have a negative experience about using cloud storage. So how do you break that negative thing, or how do you get them to expect something out of the world and really delight the user? And that's where the early users, when they started working with early users, they realized that you need to very quickly take a new user from not knowing what Dropbox is to seeing the magic of things getting replicated across devices, right? And they just design the whole process of starting Dropbox around that, because, and that's why they started putting in some of the instructions and common files in the folder, so you set it up and it quickly, you go on another machine and you start it and you see everything is right there in your Dropbox, in your drive on the machine. So they created a lot of small things. It took a lot of small steps to move people to quickly to a stage where they could experience this magic. The second thing, like I said, you need to do, and you can do immediately, again, is figure out who your must-have customer or your ideal customer is, and create a persona of your ideal customer. And when I say what is in a persona, I'm saying you start by giving the persona a name. What is her problem, and how does your product solve her problem? And finally, you have to think about why is this person the ideal customer or user of your product. So you have to figure out 2 or 3 things that make this persona really desperate that this persona will really love your product. Two or three things why they should really love your product. So basically what you have to do is you have to look at the persona and you have to look at must have experience of your product and figure out how they fit. Does this persona really will be blown away if she experiences the must have experience? If not, then it's not your ideal profile and you move away. So how do you do that? So I have an example for you, right? So if you look at, because I was using Dropbox earlier, I'll just continue with that Dropbox example. By the way, I'll just stop and just explain what Dropbox is. So Dropbox is a file sharing system in the cloud, and I'm sure a lot of you would have used it and probably are aware of it. So I'm not talking about what Dropbox is, but it's for those who don't know, you know, it's a cloud-based file sharing service you can use to share files with others and with yourself between different devices. So let's look at Amy. So I gave the profile a name, Amy. You can give any name you want. She's 25 years old. She's a bachelor's in computer science, and she's a software developer in a startup. So this is the ideal profile of the. This is a profile of an ideal user of Dropbox. And this is, by the way, this is where they found their early traction too. So what is her problem? Her problem is she needs to back up her code and access it from multiple devices and locations, and also share it with her co-workers because everybody is collaborating on the project, right? And she needs to do it very often, right? And typically in a startup, what happens? People are working in office, people are working at home, people are working in the restaurant. So people are working all the time and all over the place, right? So they need to be able to access everything from wherever they are on whatever device they are, and they because startups have small, very tight teams. They need to be able to share everything very quickly and seamlessly with the co-workers, right? So the problem with the current solution and a current solution meaning before Dropbox was uh, she needed to remember the backup every time she finished a piece of code. Take backup on a disk or on some cloud thing. If she took a backup on the pen drive, then she needs to remember to carry it along wherever she was going, so she could copy the file onto the new computer. And then if she worked on another machine, she had to remember to take the latest backup of the latest code and bring it back and put it on the other machines as well, so all the machines were in sync. Share the latest file with co-workers using that disk. So it's not a very simple or an enjoyable thing to do, and it caused a lot of stress and a lot of heartburn for to people when they would go out and suddenly realize, oh, I forgot to bring the pen drive which has the code, right? So I worked at home and I on the home desktop, and I go office and I forgot to take the copy, and oh, I can't use it anymore. I forgot to email myself, whatever. So for this person, using Dropbox changes everything. So she installs Dropbox, she saves her file on the Dropbox, and that's it. And then she shares that folder with her friends, and she's done. As soon as her friends accept Dropbox, and they have access to the file, and they have access to the file in real time as she's working. So she makes changes, the changes become available all the time in real time to everybody. And if she goes home and starts working from her home machine, it's right there. Everything she worked on in office is right there, latest version available on her home computer, right? Solves a big problem for her. But also if she takes this and introduces it to her developer team, her group, she's a hero because she's solving a big problem out of everybody, right? So she's becoming a hero too. So the whole experience is making her professional life a very easy. It's making a big difference to her professional life. So if this person starts using and experiences Dropbox from the moment of putting files in to getting it replicated with across machines and shared with coworkers, she is going to have a lot of she's going to be your ideal customer. She is going to be so delighted that she is going to start immediately sharing with her coworkers, her friends, and that's going to set the ball in motion, right? That's going to make sure that she gets in 10 other people. And that's exactly what happened when Dropbox launched, right? They got the right, these kind of people to experience it. So let me, at this point, show you a tool that you can use to create buyer persona very, very quickly and very, very easily. So I don't know if how many of you have ever built buyer persona. If you have, you can probably write that out in the answer window if you have in the questions window if you have done that. But here, and again, this is something that you don't do just for growth hacking. You do it whether you are doing growth hacking or not. Even if you're working for a company where you're not really interested in growth hacking, you're doing regular marketing or digital marketing, you'll still be making persona. So there's this tool called makemypersona.com. It's free. Okay, you don't have to pay anything to use it. You come to this site makemypersona.com, and then you click on start making my persona, and it says humanize it, give it a name. So let me just give it a name. I just give it a name Naveen. I click OK, and then it says okay, choose a just put a image to the persona. You'll notice that this when you're creating persona, you want it to be as close and as realistic to the user as possible, and that's why we give it a name and we attach the image and everything to make it look like a real person, right? Let me select just this image, right? So you can see that there's a series of questions you answer, right? So what is the job, right? How is the job measured, in terms of how the person is. So if you're doing a B2B selling, for example, you're selling to a salesperson is measured in terms of revenue generated, right, or sales closed. So you'll start entering those details, and you can see that there's a series of questions you need to answer. And once you answer all this, you may not answer all the questions though, right? You'll only answer the questions that make sense to this customer persona. And once you have done that, it will generate your customer persona, right? So it will give you, a visual representation, and you can download that, and it can email it to you, and you can start using it. So the reason I wanted to introduce this is when you use this tool, you really don't have to think about what next, what else, did I miss anything. It's a very strong guided exercise that takes you through the different steps needed to generate your persona. And once you have done that, then what you do is you go on to the actual step of start getting the users, right, and start building the growth. So one of the things, if you remember, I said in the beginning was you need to do a lot of experimentation and analyze data. So what I'm going to do is focus on this part. How do you experiment, collect data, and analyze data, right, to get onto the growth hacking chart? Okay, so what you do is when you are selling something online, you are acquiring customers online, you have a page where people come, they read about the product, they understand what the product is, and then they take a decision whether they want to sign up or not sign up, correct? So the page which helps people make that decision is called a landing page. Okay, it could be your home page, but typically it is not the home page. It is a specific page on your site whose only job is to help people sign up, right? The home page is typically more around branding, but when you're a startup, you may want to create your home page more focused on getting people started with the thing. So there's a tool called Unbounce that you can use to quickly create landing pages and create variants of the page. So you can do A/B testing. What is A/B testing is? You create a landing page, and let's say you use one heading on one, and then you say you want to test if there's a different heading will help convert people better, or you want to create a page and say add a different benefit, and just show different benefits. So you can create variants of the page, And what happens, both the pages are on the same URL, they have the same web address. So when you send people to that web address, Unbounce or Lead Pages, whatever software you're using, it will automatically show people different variants. So some people will say variant A, some will see second variant, some will see third variant, and it will collect the data in terms of what people did, and then you can analyze and see which variant performed better than the other. There's another tool, and I'll show you how to do that. Uh, there's another tool which is called Inspectlet that actually does video recording, and I'll show you that also. And finally, you can use Google Analytics or Kissmetrics to see user flow through your website to see where people are dropping off, where people are converting, and that will give you a good insight into wherever people are dropping off is a friction point, right? So what can you do? Then you zoom into that and look into your unbound data and Inspectlet recordings to figure out what you can do to remove friction from that page, right? And make it easier for people to sign up. Let me just first show you one example and then I'll take you to Unbound. So this page shows you the versions of the home page of Dropbox. One on the left is the first version and it performed really well. But the second one on the right is a more optimized version. So you see in the left side, as soon as you land here, there's a headline says store, sync and share your files online. And then you can take two options. Either you can watch the video or you can download Dropbox, right? Which means there's a 50% chance that somebody will click on download Dropbox theoretically, and the two action you can take, so there's a 50% probability of each action being taken. So there's a 50% chance that somebody will click on download Dropbox, right? And this page performed really well, but then they realized that if they move to the right hand page where there's only one button, download Dropbox, and watch a video is not really a button, so people don't really realize immediately that there's an action they can do, but the action is really Dropbox. It even further improved their conversion rate, the number of people who are downloading Dropbox and installing Dropbox. Okay. So this version is the one that they use today. But how they went from here to here is a series of small experimentation and data analysis that they did using something like Unbounce. So let me actually show you what Unbounce is. So this is Unbounce. You can create a free account with Unbounce and you can create your landing pages and test. That's the cool thing about Unbounce. You can also, if you want more features, you can get into a paid account and then you get more features like hosting your own subdomain, etc. But you can get started with and learn it on the free version. So once you log in, you click on create new page. Unbounce has a lot of different ready-made templates for different kinds of landing pages, and you can select the kind of page the template that suits best for your business. For example, if you're selling a SaaS, online SaaS product, software product, you can sell. They have some template for that. Let's say this. So you double click on it, and you give your page a name. Click on start with this template, and that's it. And your landing page is created. So this is a structure. What it creates is a basic structure that you can then edit. You can change the text, you can change the color, you can change the font, you can change images, everything, whatever you want, right? Uh, the first time it takes a little bit longer because it's generating your page. So what happens is once you create this page, if you are in a paid plan, you can create a subdomain. For example, signup.yourdomain.com, your company name.com, and then this page will show up on signup.yourcompanypage.com slash variant one or whatever you call, right? So you can see that the page is ready, right? Let me just maximize it. So this page is ready, right? And if you go down, you'll see there's a desktop and a mobile. So it actually shows you how this page will show up on a mobile device. It's a responsive page, so you can see how it looks on mobile device, right? So whatever changes you make in the desktop view, you can go back to mobile and see if it made any change. So you can see here, this is the basic stuff. Now you want to change this text, you can just double click and you can change your text. You want to add an image, you can just drag an image from here wherever you want, right? And you can then add image from your library. It will let you add images from here. So you can very quickly make that, and then you can, this is a button, right? So for each button you can define an action. On the right hand side you can see here action. Action is go to URL. So you can give the URL action. So sign up, click, and then you provide the URL for your sign up page where people will go and sign up, right? No coding required, no programming required. Just in few minutes you can create great looking pages. Now what's next? So once you have made all the changes, you just save it, and then you close this edit view, and this is your page. This is the page name, and this is the URL for the page, right? If you send anybody to this URL, they will see the page you just created. And then what you do is you can create a variant of this. You click on this gear icon and say create a new page variant from duplicate this variant. So once you click on duplicate this variant, it has created a copy of the original page, and then you can call it variant 2. Then you can go and edit it, make changes, and then what you do is give it some traffic. So let's say we are creating two variants, and we don't know which one will convert better. So we assign 50% traffic to each of these variants. Now what will happen is if you send 100 people to this URL, unbouncepages.com/test, whatever is the URL, if you send 100 people here, 50 will see variant 1 and 50 will see variant 2. You don't have to do anything, no programming, no nothing. You just use unbound pages, create the variants, and then for each of the variants, it will show you how many people visited, number of visitors, how many conversions happen, right? Conversions in this case, you have to define what the conversion is. So in this case, in the page we just created, there is a button, so you can define clicking on the button as the conversion, right? Because your idea of conversion here is to send people to the sign up page. So what is happening here is somebody is clicking on sign up, so and going there. So you can click on this goal, and you can assign it a once you assign give the page this button a URL, you can then assign it as a goal, and then it will be tracked as a goal. How many people clicked on this button, and you'll start seeing conversions. Now, why is it important is as you start creating these variants, you'll realize that some variants convert better than the others, and sometimes the variation could be as much as 20%, 30%, 50%, 100%, right? For example, I have seen uh, I was running one last month. I was running one test, and what we realized was we created a page like this, and all we did was this heading, which we had a heading in white, and we a similar type orange background and white heading, and we changed this heading from white to black, and we have 25% more people converting. So when we earlier we were sending 100 people, and about out of those 100, about 20 were converting. So 20% conversion rate, which is very high in its own right. But when we changed white to black, we suddenly started getting 27 conversions. So 27 out of 100 people started signing up for the product. So without spending any money, we are now getting 7 more people. So 7 instead of 20, which is like 33% more people signing up just by changing this. So we change just the color of the font. So these are the kind of experiment. Then you change the color of the button. You change the image, right? These are some of the experiments you run on the landing page. Then you experiment with your ads. You experiment with what messages you are doing. You experiment with different sites which are sending traffic, right? For example, you might experiment with sending traffic from Reddit and Quora or those places. So you might experiment with different kind of referral programs, and depending on and what you do is you keep creating different landing pages and different tracking, and keep tracking everything that you do, and keep collecting data and keep optimizing. So every day what you're trying to do is you're looking to make that little bit more improvement. So conversion rate going up from 5% to 6% or 7%, 10%, right? Number of people coming in, going up from 100 to 200 to 300. So what you are doing behind all of this is trying to understand what appeals to your customer. So what is it that gets people to refer other people? What is it that gets people to sign up? What is it that when people see, they start using your product more often or start referring more people? And that's the kind of data you are collecting in this when you're running these experiments. The other thing that you do is you install this something like Inspect. Like there are several tools, but I'll just show you Inspect, but because it is one of the cheaper ones and there's a free version also. What it does is, so you have a site, people are coming there, and I'll show you recording for one of the test sites. So there people are coming to the site, and you want to understand what is happening on your site, right? So you come into your analytics program, and this is Google Analytics. Is the free version, and that's why I'm showing it. The Google Analytics is free, so that's why I'm showing it, because most people will use Google Analytics. You come here, you look at behavior and see what people are doing on your site, and you're seeing what the landing page is and where people are going and where they're dropping off. You can look at where people are coming and what is happening. So where people are coming in and what they are doing on your site. So which source they are coming in and what they are doing and how many of them are converting, right? But the real the big thing that I want to show you is this users flow. So if you look at users flow, it is telling you how people are flowing through your website, and these rates are drop offs, and these are so we brought in so many people. So 427 people from India came in, and you just let me just highlight traffic through here, and you can see that there are so many people who came in from India. 105 people came in, so that 345 people reached this page, and then 210 of them dropped off. So majority of them dropped off. Now, why did they drop off? This is one of the key things, that the questions that a growth hacker needs to answer. We are bringing people. Why are they dropping off? And one of the really easy ways, or good ways of doing this is using a tool like Inspectlet, and you go to this page and you look at the recording. And let me just show you. So this gentleman came from Australia on a mobile device. And looked at 4 pages, spent 2 minutes. So let's see what he did on the site. So if you click on this, it just shows you how the person was interacting with your site in real time. So you can see what they are doing here. This person came, he just came here, and all these points is trying to click and it's not working, right? So you can see that the person was clicking and it didn't work, it didn't do anything, because that's not a clickable thing. And you can see all the places where they're clicking. Sorry, this particular person is clicking. And then he clicked on the right, finally he went to another page, and you can see what he's doing on the page. And by looking at this, as well as, so this is what recording does. This is what Inspectlet recording looks like. And by looking at this recording, you can see what people are doing and what is frustrating them. Are they able to find the buttons and take the action that you want them to do on the page, or are they getting frustrated? Are they just dropping out because they can't figure out what is happening on the page? Another thing you can do is look at the heat maps, which show you the eye movement of the user and where they're clicking. And looking at the two, you can again see, if you click on heat maps and just go each page, you can look at the heat map for each page, and it will show you what you can see. All the blue, all the spots that you see are the spots where people have been clicking, or this is eye tracking. So this is where people have been looking. If you click on the click heat map, all the spots are where people have been clicking. You can see that people have clicked on here on this, and so clicking here is all right because these are clickable. But looking at this, you see a lot of people have been clicking here, and they probably think that it will link to somewhere, but it is not linking somewhere. So one of the things looking at this you'll do is you'll make this a clickable link and take them to the buy page, right, out of there, because people think that this will take them, it is talking about the price and everything, and if they click, it'll take them to the buy page, but it's not taking them, and that's a frustration. So if you just convert it into a button that takes them to the buy page, it will solve a big problem, right? So I'll give one of the problems that we solved once for a customer was, they had a lot of people going to the adding the product to cart and then they're dropping off. Out of 100 people who are adding product to cart, only three were, I think two or three were going on to complete the order, and we're not able. So we wanted to see what was happening on that page, right? So we went and you can keep asking your questions, and when I take a break, I'll answer the question. So we noticed that what is happening was people are adding product to cart, and there was a coupon code field, and people will go there, and the cursor will move around there, and then people will abandon and go away. So what is happening was people were looking at that coupon code field, and they would think that, okay, I can find a coupon code for this product, and they'll probably go off to Google and start searching for coupon code, and they wouldn't find coupon code because this client did not have any coupon code published. They're not actually allowing any discount, but the presence of coupon code field was telling users that, I can find some discount, and people were going away and not coming back. So what we did was we removed the coupon code field, and then we suddenly had, instead of two or three people signing up, we had 7 people signing up. It actually tripled their conversion rate on that page. So because there are no coupon code, people will add product to cart and they will not be worried about coupon code, and just they'll think that, okay, I'm getting the best price that is possible on this product, and they'll check out. So that's one of the ways you can use it. Analyze user behavior on the site, looking at the recordings and heat map, and find out friction points and remove the friction points. And as you start removing friction points, you'll see that more and more people are signing up, and your growth rate keeps going up because more people are signing up. So let me, I can see that some questions flying in here. Sagar, is this true recording by web app, or just it's a true recording, Sagar? It just records using a JavaScript code, small JavaScript code that you put on your site, on your pages. It records actual interaction on the page. Okay, so the actual interaction, you can see the cursor movement, everything is real as the user has done. The only thing is that it zaps the moments where the user, there's no activity on the page. So if the user is not doing anything for a couple of minutes, it will zap through those that time, but it actually records the actual movement on the screen. Lakshmana, the heat map or eye movement heat map is generated based on how the person is scrolling through the page. Okay, and moving is taking. So, for example, right now I'm moving my. I'm not clicking, but I'm moving my cursor right to left. Left to right. Correct. And then I'm moving top to bottom, and now I'm moving my page top to bottom. Right. So this is what eye tracking is, because as my cursor is moving left to right, my eye is following it. So that is eye tracking. And as I move top to bottom, I move this scroll bar top to bottom. My eye is moving top to bottom on the page, and that's eye tracking on the thing. Okay, so that's how the eye tracking is generated. Sudhanshu, I'm sorry, you have a question? I didn't see your question, but I see a question mark here. Oh, so you can type out your question, Sudhanshu, whatever what your question. I didn't see any question from you. So, oh, okay, now I see it. Okay, so that's what I wanted to cover. And if you have questions, you can shoot them now. So these are 3 things we did. We did the unbounce, we did inspect let, and we quickly looked at user flow in Google Analytics. Oh, okay, thank you. Okay, Sudhanshu, I got your point. Thank you. Okay. So if you have any questions, you can ask me now. You will get okay, Sagar. You don't need a developer to make that change. What you need to do is when you sign up with InspectLet, it will give you a small piece of code that needs to be put in the header section on all the pages wherever you want to record user behavior. So if you're using a content management system like WordPress, you can do it yourself by putting it in the common header file, or you can, if you're using Unbounce, it gives you, or Lead Pages, it gives you a place where you can put this code. If it is a custom coded website, then you need to ask your programmer who has developed or who is maintaining to add it to the header section of the pages. And then the code goes on your site, and when the user in the site, whenever the page is loaded, the script is triggered and it connects to Inspectlet servers, and then it starts recording the screen session. So that's how it works. Okay. Any more questions? Inspectlet does not affect page load time, Rahul, because it's a very small piece of code. It doesn't really make much of an impact on the load time. At least we have not detected any thing. It does not work on apps. As far as I know, I have not seen it being used inside apps. But maybe they have a version. We can actually look at. Okay, I think I closed the site. I have not seen it work on apps. So I've only seen it work on web pages. Naveen, they can't be used for performance testing. These are not meant for performance testing. These tools are more for analyzing user behavior than testing the software performance as such, or your site's performance. Right? The idea behind doing these tools is to understand how your users are interacting with the site, what is holding them back, and how you can make this transaction smoother. Okay, so it's not about it's not about doing load testing or software testing. Okay, so you will get an email tomorrow with the recording of the webinar also, and you'll for because you've taken this time, and as a special thank you for attending this webinar, what we are doing is we are extending all of you a 20% discount on the digital marketing course that I teach at Edureka, and it's valid for 24 hours. So if you're interested, you will also get an email tomorrow with the recording for the webinar. So if you miss something because we went a little too fast, you can always listen to it again. And if you have any questions, you can also connect with me on LinkedIn and ask me questions there, because you can't really respond to the email that goes out with the webinar link. So you can connect with me on LinkedIn if you have more questions, and you can ask me questions there. Yeah, Anubhav, that's exactly the kind of stuff we cover in the course. What kind of channel and what is suited for what kind of product, and what you can do and how you do it. Uh, Unfortunately, today we are not looking at the social platforms. We are basically looking at some of the things that growth hackers use to figure out how to grow fast. Right. So, but we'll try and do a webinar along maybe on one of the social platforms as well in future. Okay, so I'll wrap up the webinar. I don't see any more questions coming in, so I'll wrap it up. And of course, as I said, you can always connect with me on LinkedIn and ask me more questions. Yeah, so thanks a lot for attending, and have a great week ahead. Bye.